You pour it into the pan every single morning without a second thought. It is sitting in your cabinet right now, and you probably bought it because you believed it was the healthier choice. But what if the very oil you have been cooking with is silently stoking the inflammation that drives your insulin resistance higher and higher, while you are busy worrying about bread and pasta? I am Dr. Sophia Reed, an endocrinologist with over 2 decades of clinical experience treating patients with type 2 diabetes, prediabetes, and insulin resistance. A 2015 study published in PLOS One by researchers at the University of California, Riverside, involving controlled dietary trials in metabolic models, found that one specific cooking oil produced more obesity, more insulin resistance, and more diabetic gene expression than even pure fructose. That finding changed how I counsel every single patient about their kitchen. I have watched thousands of my patients obsess over carbohydrates while completely ignoring the liquid fat they heat up in their pan every single day. Today, that changes for you. I am going to walk you through 5 critical truths about cooking oils and diabetes, including the single worst oil sitting in most kitchens right now, the hidden places it appears even when you think you are avoiding it, and one oil swap that clinical trials have shown can improve fasting blood sugar in as little as 12 weeks. But stay with me all the way through, because our final truth involves an oil that millions of people are switching to right now, believing it is a superfood for blood sugar. And one common mistake with that oil can actually accelerate cardiovascular damage while doing nothing for your glucose. Everything we discuss here is backed by published, peer-reviewed research. And please remember that everything we discuss here is for educational purposes only. You must never stop taking your prescribed diabetes medications or change your medical regimen without speaking directly to your own physician first. Number 1. Your cooking oil is not a neutral bystander. I know the feeling. You have spent months learning which carbohydrates to eat and which to avoid. You have memorized glycemic index charts. You have swapped white rice for cauliflower rice. And through all of that effort, the oil you poured into your pan never even crossed your mind. I understand. Nobody told you to worry about it. But here is what is actually happening inside your body. Think of your cell membranes like the walls of a house. Those walls are literally built from the fats you eat. When you consume an oil loaded with omega-6 fatty acids, and I will tell you exactly which one in a moment, those omega-6 fats get incorporated into your cell walls and act like kindling. They make your cells prone to catching inflammatory fire at the slightest provocation. And chronic low-grade inflammation is not just a side effect of type 2 diabetes. Research confirms it is one of the driving mechanisms. Inflammation directly interferes with insulin signaling, like static on a radio that prevents your cells from hearing the insulin signal clearly. Let me tell you about a patient of mine named Gerald, age 58. Gerald came to me frustrated. He had been eating grilled chicken and vegetables nearly every night for 3 months, a textbook diabetes-friendly dinner. His A1C barely moved. When I asked him to walk me through exactly how he prepared his food, the answer was immediate. He was sautéing everything in what the bottle called heart-healthy vegetable oil. That single habit was undermining weeks of dietary discipline. When we changed nothing else except his cooking oil, his fasting glucose dropped by 18 points in 6 weeks. A 2016 review published in Nutrients examined the role of dietary omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acid ratios in metabolic disease and confirmed that excessive omega-6 consumption promotes a pro-inflammatory state strongly associated with insulin resistance and the progression of type 2 diabetes. Here is what I need you to take away from this. Tonight, walk into your kitchen and look at the oil sitting next to your stove. Turn the bottle around and read the ingredients. That single action is more revealing than any blood test you could order today. And that brings me to the oil that appeared on Gerald's counter, the one I see in nearly every patient's kitchen when I ask. Number 2. The number 1 worst cooking oil for diabetes is soybean oil. I need to be direct with you about this because it may shock you. Soybean oil is the single most consumed cooking oil in the United States and is widely used across the globe. And I believe it is one of the most overlooked contributors to insulin resistance in my patients. That 2015 study I mentioned earlier, published in PLOS One by Poonamjot Deol and colleagues at the University of California, Riverside, compared diets high in soybean oil against diets high in fructose, coconut oil, and other fats in controlled metabolic trials. The soybean oil diet produced the most weight gain, the most insulin resistance, and the highest expression of genes linked to diabetes and fatty liver. Not fructose, not saturated fat, soybean oil. A follow-up study by the same team published in Scientific Reports in 2017 found that soybean oil also dysregulated genes involved in inflammation, further connecting it to metabolic disease. Now, let me explain why this happens in a way that makes sense. Soybean oil is roughly 54% linoleic acid, an omega-6 fatty acid. In small amounts, your body needs omega-6, but soybean oil delivers it like a fire hose when your body only needs a garden hose. The result is an inflammatory cascade that makes your cells progressively more deaf to insulin, the exact mechanism that defines type 2 diabetes. Leave me a comment right now. What oil is sitting next to your stove at this very moment? I genuinely want to know. Here is your practical takeaway. Check every bottle in your kitchen that says vegetable oil. In the vast majority of cases, the primary ingredient is soybean oil. The word vegetable on the label is essentially a marketing term. If soybean oil appears anywhere in the ingredient list, I want you to replace that bottle. I will tell you exactly what to replace it with in a moment. But first, there is something even more unsettling, because even if you throw that bottle away tonight, you may still be consuming soybean oil every single day without realizing it. Number 3. Soybean oil is hiding in foods you would never suspect. This is where many of my patients feel genuinely blindsided. You can eliminate every bottle of soybean oil from your kitchen, and if you eat any processed or restaurant food, you are almost certainly still consuming it. Soybean oil is the default cooking oil in the vast majority of restaurant chains and fast food kitchens across the country. It is in most commercial salad dressings, mayonnaise, bread, crackers, frozen meals, protein bars, and even foods marketed as healthy or natural. I had a patient named Diane, age 64, who was meticulous about her home cooking. She used extra virgin olive oil exclusively. But she ate lunch at a popular salad chain 3 times a week, congratulating herself on choosing salad over a sandwich. When we looked into it, her light vinaigrette dressing contained soybean oil as the very first ingredient. 3 lunches a week for over a year, all that careful home cooking was being partially offset by a dressing she never thought to question. A 2017 analysis published in Nutrients estimated that soybean oil accounts for roughly 7% of total caloric intake in the standard American diet. To put that in perspective, no single cooking oil in human history has ever represented that large a share of a population's calories. We are running a dietary experiment on ourselves that would never have been approved as a clinical trial. Your takeaway here is painfully simple but powerful. For the next week, read the ingredient label on everything you buy at the grocery store. Not the nutrition facts panel, the ingredient list. If soybean oil appears, put it back on the shelf. You will be stunned at how often it shows up in products you trusted. Now, what if I told you that even an oil considered healthy can become genuinely dangerous, depending on something most people completely overlook in their kitchen? Number 4. The smoke point trap turns good oils bad. This is the part where most people stop and say, wait, what does the temperature of my pan have to do with my blood sugar? The answer is everything. Here is the mechanism. Every cooking oil has a specific temperature at which it begins to break down, its smoke point. When an oil is heated past its smoke point, the fatty acid chains shatter into compounds called aldehydes and lipid peroxides. Think of it like this. A healthy oil below its smoke point is a sturdy bridge your metabolism can cross safely. Heat it past that point, and the bridge collapses into sharp, twisted wreckage that damages everything it touches. Those oxidized fragments trigger inflammatory pathways in your liver and your fat tissue, the 2 organs most critical for blood sugar regulation. You have taken a protective oil and turned it into an inflammatory one simply by turning your stove up too high. A 2012 study published in Food Chemistry by Guillen and Uriarte tested multiple cooking oils heated to deep frying temperatures over extended periods and found that polyunsaturated oils, including soybean and sunflower, generated significantly higher levels of toxic aldehyde compounds than oils rich in monounsaturated fats. The more omega-6 linoleic acid in the oil, the more toxic byproducts it produced at high heat. Here is the practical mistake I see constantly. A patient switches to extra virgin olive oil because I recommended it, then cranks the stove to high heat for a stir fry. Extra virgin olive oil has a moderate smoke point, around 375 degrees Fahrenheit. For high heat cooking like searing, stir-frying, or roasting above 400 degrees, you need an oil that can handle the temperature without breaking apart. I recommend avocado oil for high heat applications. It has a smoke point near 520 degrees Fahrenheit and is rich in monounsaturated oleic acid, which is protective rather than inflammatory. Your rule is simple: extra virgin olive oil for low to medium heat cooking and raw finishing. Avocado oil for high heat cooking. That two-oil system covers every cooking method in your kitchen, and it eliminates the smoke point trap entirely. And now, let me share the oil that clinical research has actually shown can lower fasting blood sugar, because not all oils are merely neutral. One is actively therapeutic. Number 5. Extra virgin olive oil is the closest thing to a prescription cooking oil. I do not say that lightly. The PREDIMED trial, one of the largest and most important nutritional intervention studies ever conducted, published findings in the New England Journal of Medicine involving over 7,400 participants at high cardiovascular risk, many with type 2 diabetes. The group randomized to a Mediterranean diet supplemented with extra virgin olive oil showed significantly reduced rates of cardiovascular events, and sub-analyses published in Diabetes Care found meaningful improvements in fasting glucose and insulin sensitivity. The mechanism centers on compounds called polyphenols, particularly oleocanthal and hydroxytyrosol, which have direct anti-inflammatory effects at the cellular level that improve how your cells respond to insulin. I had a patient named Raj, age 62, who was terrified of all dietary fats. He had been told decades ago that fat makes you fat, and that lesson had stuck like cement. He was cooking with non-stick spray and water sautéing his vegetables, eating fat-free salad dressing, and avoiding all oils completely. His A1C was 8.1. When I gradually introduced 2 tablespoons of quality extra virgin olive oil daily, one drizzled on his lunch salad, one used for gentle dinner cooking, his A1C dropped to 7.2 over 4 months. We changed nothing else in his diet or medication regimen. His body was starved for anti-inflammatory fat, and once it received it, his insulin sensitivity began to recover. Here is my specific recommendation. Buy extra virgin olive oil in a dark glass bottle or tin from the most recent harvest year printed on the label. Use 1 tablespoon as a cooking base at medium heat, and drizzle 1 tablespoon raw over finished vegetables, soups, or salads. The raw application is important because it preserves the heat-sensitive polyphenols that deliver the strongest anti-inflammatory benefit. 2 tablespoons daily. That is your target. Tell me in the comments, have you been avoiding fat entirely because someone told you to? I hear this from patients every single week, and it may be the most counterproductive piece of diabetes advice still circulating today. Now, I promised you a warning, and this is where I need you to pay very close attention, because this involves the oil that millions of people are switching to right now, believing it is the answer to their blood sugar problems. I am talking about coconut oil. Coconut oil has been marketed relentlessly as a diabetes-friendly superfood, and I understand the appeal. It contains medium-chain triglycerides, MCTs, that are metabolized differently from longer-chain fats. Some small studies have suggested these MCTs may support energy metabolism. But here is what the marketing leaves out entirely. Coconut oil is approximately 82% saturated fat, more than butter, more than lard. A 2020 meta-analysis published in Circulation by Neela Canton and colleagues, reviewing 16 clinical studies with over 700 participants, found that coconut oil significantly raised LDL cholesterol compared to non-tropical vegetable oils. For my patients with type 2 diabetes, who already face 2 to 4 times the cardiovascular risk of people without diabetes, routinely cooking in coconut oil is layering a cardiac risk factor on top of an existing metabolic disease. Let me tell you about a patient named Patricia, age 67. Patricia had watched a viral video claiming coconut oil could reverse diabetes. She was excited. She felt empowered. She started adding 2 tablespoons of coconut oil to her morning coffee every day and cooking exclusively with it. No other oil touched her kitchen. Over 5 months, her LDL cholesterol rose from 118 to 167. Her blood sugar did not improve at all. She came to me confused and frightened because she had genuinely believed she was doing everything right. That conversation was one of the harder ones I have had because Patricia's intentions were so good. She was not being reckless. She was being misled. The correct approach is this. Coconut oil is not poison. In small amounts, a teaspoon here and there for flavor in a specific recipe, perhaps a Thai curry once a week, it is perfectly fine for most people. But replacing your primary cooking oil with coconut oil, especially if you have type 2 diabetes and any degree of cardiovascular risk, is trading one problem for another. The smarter, evidence-based choice is extra virgin olive oil as your everyday oil and avocado oil for high-heat cooking. That combination gives you anti-inflammatory polyphenols, cardiovascular protection, and improved insulin sensitivity, without the LDL trade-off that coconut oil carries. Controlling your blood sugar does not have to mean punishing yourself. It does not mean eating bland food in a dry pan. It does not mean fearing every bottle on the shelf. It is about working smarter with your body, choosing the right fats, using them at the right temperatures, and understanding that the oil you pour into your pan is not background noise. It is part of the prescription. If this changed the way you think about your kitchen, please subscribe to this channel, because every week I am breaking down the science of blood sugar in a way that respects your intelligence without burying you in jargon. Tell me in the comments, which of these truths surprised you most? Or which oil mistake have you been making without knowing? If you have a friend or family member who has been pouring the wrong oil into their pan every single night, send this video directly to them. It could change the trajectory of their health. And if you want my free 7-day blood sugar meal plan, with every oil, cooking temperature, and method spelled out for you, the link is in the description. Watch this video next on the 5 foods that spike blood sugar more than candy, including one that shows up in every diabetes-friendly cookbook. Link is on screen now.